Hello and welcome to Your Yes Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. I'm really excited because by the time you hear this episode, we will be into the official fourth year of the podcast. This podcast was born in April of 2022, and it started as the Waves of Joy podcast and then morphed into Your Yes Filled Life in 2023. And we are now at, okay, get this, we're at almost 23,000 downloads across all platforms. And I just couldn't be more excited. It has been such a cool thing to feel like I am going along with you on your walks and doing the dishes with you and taking drives with you. And it just means so much. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I want you to know that every time you reach out to me and you tell me that you listened to a podcast, or you tell me that something resonated for you, or you tell me that something made you think differently or was supportive, it fuels me. And so I just want you to know that it's never a bother when you reach out. It just feels so good. So today on the podcast, we are going to be diving into one of the most frequently asked questions that I've been getting over the past several months, which is, how can I be more intuitive? So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about what intuition is and what it isn't. Okay. And I've talked about this on other podcasts, and I'll even link some here below. But when we're talking about intuition, we're talking about that deep inner knowing that you have. Now, intuition speaks to us each in its own unique way. For some of us, we have access to future timelines, and we have intuition around what could happen next if everything stays on course. For others of us, we have intuition that comes through in the form of communication from other people. Like, in other words, we'll be looking for an answer, and next thing you know, the next three people that you talk to will be speaking to the thing that you're seeking. For some of us, intuition means that you actually can communicate with people not in this dimension. You can communicate with people who are beloved departed. On the other side, you can speak to spirit guides, you can speak to angels. For some people, intuition is sometimes a little bit confused, and there's some crossover between empaths, meaning that you might be an animal communicator, or that you are able to sense and feel people's body sensations or emotions inside your own body. And I just want to put it all under one great big umbrella of intuition right now. So, when Crystal Clenny was in the podcast, she taught us about the 18 tracks of intuition, the six clairs, the six empath tracks, and then the six niche tracks. And I'll invite you to go back and have a listen to that episode because it really kicked off some beautiful conversations around what is intuition. But here's why it matters. If we aren't living in a way that we have access to our intuition, we have these like kind of inner knowing types of feelings that we know something would work, and oftentimes we're talked out of doing it that way, or more people think we should do it a different way, or perhaps somebody with a stronger opinion or stronger language thinks we should do it another way, and then you end up going back and doing it the way you thought of first, which is taking you extra time, extra bandwidth, extra money. And in some cases, it can be really painful if you knew that something was better suited to be a different way. It can be really painful to come face to face with that. I have never personally regretted any time I followed my intuition, and I've never met anyone else who regretted following their intuition either. I do hear the opposite, regret around not following intuition, and that often sounds like I knew we should have done it this way, or I just had a feeling. So the truth is, if you're drawn to this podcast, you are intuitive. And we can help you grow and develop that intuition. And I'm even going to begin talking more about how you can access some of these other intuitive gifts, like your six clairs, meaning clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairalient, clairsentient, and claircognizant. And I'm missing one of the clairs, but you get the drift. So we'll even be talking a little bit about that. And if there's interest, in actually learning how to tap into your intuition, like being taught in a class or a course, I'm open to that. And I'm really excited to say that that's one of the things that I'm now offering inside of a brand new one-on-one offer called The Intuitive Way, which is helping people learn to access their intuition. So, what does it mean? And let's talk about the six clairs really a lot right now. And then we're going to talk about the empath, a couple of the empath things in a second. It means that you are getting information either from your mind's eye or perhaps your physical eyes, from your mind's ear, like it's an internal voice. There might be a sense of knowing, like something just dropped in. Oh, and clairsentient, that was the one I missed. Um, it might be that you feel it in your body, or you might actually be in a conversation with somebody else and then know things because they're talking to you that you'll feel inside your body. And there's really no limit to the ways that you can access your intuition. So I have one mentor who says there's like 120 different ways we can access our intuition. And so if we think only about the six clairs, we are really limiting ourselves. Because the truth is, and you know this, you have intuitive hits in any number of ways. Like, for example, if you have ever been stuck on something, like you're stuck in a project, you're trying to solve a problem, and then you go walk, and next thing you know, that solution pops into your mind, you have accessed your intuition somatically by moving your body. And this is where all of the somatic practices that I offer come in. So the breath work, the somatic healing, the somatic coaching, the theta healing, even the Reiki. Reiki really unlocks a lot of intuition. In fact, Reiki is what I call my gateway drug into the intuitive arts because that was really how I first understood this energy that of intuition, because intuition is a form of energy. So when we're talking about energy management or tracking energy, we're also talking about intuitive access. They're going together. And when we talk about finding ways to access more intuition, we're going to start by talking about one of the ways no one's talking about that can keep your intuition from coming in. Are you ready? So if you have um, not integrated child parts and protector parts that are still running the show, they are blocking your intuition. How do you know if you have a protector part or a child part? Well, if you've never done any work on inner children or protector parts, chances are you do have them. Most of us do. And I'm saying most just because I hate qualifiers that say everyone all the time. But I will say I have not met anyone ever in my friends, my family, my mentors, my clients that does not have some inner child parts and protector parts to integrate. And the way it keeps us from accessing our intuition is it's playing a tape in the background from the past. So let me give you an example. There was a birthday party when I was like 10 or 11 that I had invited the girls at my school to, and I really wanted them to come to that party for a whole variety of reasons. Obvious reasons, like I wanted people at my birthday party. I wanted my friends to be there. I wanted to feel like I mattered and was important. And then less obvious reasons about, if they showed up, then it would mean, and this is my child part talking, although it's been integrated, but this is what she would have said. If they show up, it means I matter. And no one came. No one came to the birthday party. And my family was so sweet and they felt bad. I mean, they felt horrible because I mean, it must have been really painful to watch, right? And so I remember leaving the house after we all made the realization that no one who was invited was coming to the party. And, we still had our cake and we opened up a couple of presents, and my family tried to make it really special. And they did. And also, my feelings were really hurt. And so I remember walking up the street, I walked up the block, and then I realized that if I turned left, I was going to have to walk by one of the girls' houses who had been invited. And if I turned right, I was going to have to walk by one of the girls' houses who was invited. And so I was plotting my path carefully to get close to the house, but to never walk by the front window because I didn't want to know where they were. I didn't want to know why they hadn't come because in my mind, they were all, you know, standing up the party together. I don't actually know what happened. They may have told me, but I don't remember why they didn't come, but they didn't come. So anyway, I have this memory that I was standing on this corner. I remember the sun was shining brightly because it was Western Nebraska. And even though my birthday's in February and it's typically cold and snowy in Nebraska in February, the sun shines a lot. And so I have this memory on this corner making this decision around how to walk so I could avoid walking by the front window of either of these girls' houses. And I knew that that memory was the part that I think about when I think about the birthday party. But what I didn't know until I did some inner child healing was that that part of me had been frozen in time with her unmet need, her need to matter, her need to be of significance, her need to be in community. All was violated that day. Not necessarily, let's not make the blame on the other kids, because that's not what this is about. And I don't even want you to feel sorry for me about the birthday party. That's not what this is about either. What this is about is there was this 10-year-old part inside of me that wanted significance above everything else. And any time that in my life, as I grew and aged and continued to have other birthdays and got older and situations were different, but anytime there was a flavor that was familiar around wanting to be of significance, wanting to matter, wanting to be enough, subconsciously, this child part would come online. And when she came online, and I now can recognize this. I did not recognize it at the time until I had some healing around this. But at the time, she would get into this proving energy, proving her worth, proving how much she could belong, proving how much value she could bring. And so this child part energy ran my life, my business, my friendships, my romantic relationships for decades because I didn't know she was there. I mean, I knew she was there. I knew this had happened, but I didn't understand that this was such a significant event that it created this little inner child wound. And so when I healed that wound, all of a sudden I felt a lot more freedom. I felt like I matter. I don't need you to prove to me that I matter. I'm already worthy. And if you can't see that, that's your problem, not mine. But until this child part got healed, when things would present themselves in a way where there was any energy around, I don't know if you're quite a fit for this, I could prove to you that I was going to be a fit. I could, and I did. I often proved. So if you've ever felt that from me, that's what was happening. And this inner child healing that we do or don't do impacts every area of our life. It impacts how much money we can make. It impacts the career choices that we make. It impacts the relationships that we choose. And it impacts our ability to access intuition. And here's why. If this child part was online with her unmet needs, her need to prove, her need to be of significance, her need to matter, the other part of me, the bigger part of me, could not read the situation because this child part came online and she was so loud and had so many needs that she's reading the room for how can I fit in? How can I matter? How can I be of significance? She's not looking to see, is this aligned? Does this feel good? Am I being treated well? Is this on par with what I want to accomplish? All of those intuitive kinds of questions fell by the wayside because that unmet child part need of significance became the main player in the show. So if we have unhealed child parts or unhealed protector parts, and I'll talk more about the difference in just a second, those parts are taking most of the bandwidth that could be going to your intuition. So if you're saying to yourself, I don't have my intuition, or I don't always trust it, or it's hard to access, or I don't always know when it's talking to me, it's very likely that you also have some inner child parts that are competing for your intuition. So a child part is a literally a part of you. This is not a personality disorder. This is not a personality break. It's still a part of you that kind of gets frozen in time with those unmet needs. And as we get to know these child parts and we meet their needs, it's called reparenting in IFS, or internal family systems therapy. By the way, I'm not a therapist, but I am trained in IFS through my somatic coaching certification. So as we bring these parts into wholeness with our self, capital S self, then we can feel them, sense them, see them, know them, so that when they do come online, we can talk to them from a conscious place where they're not running the show subconsciously. And when that happens and the inner child part has their needs met, then they could stand down just a little bit and we have more access to our other intuitive knowing. Now, I told you I would also explain what a protector part is. A protector part is a part of yourself that has a very specific role in keeping you safe. And I just want to go on record in saying we love our inner child parts. We love our protector parts. They have had a really important job for all of these years. We don't want them to go away. That's not the goal. What we want them to do is to integrate in the whole so that they can still talk to us and communicate with us. And then we can also make conscious decisions about, is this real? Is this not real? Right? So a protector part is a part of you that comes forward to function in a really specific way. So sometimes we talk about like firefighter parts. These are the parts that are designed to put out fires. So peacekeeper parts are also very common. So if you find yourself like in peacekeeping, that is often a protector part. I worked with a client just this week who had been single for several years and was in a conversation on the phone with an eligible bachelor. And the conversation went very well. And at the end of the call, the man asked her out. And instantly she felt panic flood her body. And so she agreed to go out, but didn't set the actual time and instead reached out for a session. And so we connected. And this part to her in her mind's eye. And when we speak the language of the body, it's a little bit different than the language of the mind. And in the language of the body, this protector part looked like a snake. And so the snake was coiled up, ready to strike in case anything bad happened. And so when we talked to the protector part and met the needs of the part, and I won't go into that whole piece of it, the snake disappeared from her mind's eye, and then hopefully she'll be able to go out on this date. So the protector parts, excuse me, the protector parts might actually present in your mind's eye as something like a color, shape, texture, sound, image, or maybe even a memory. And child parts and protector parts are a little bit different, and the way that we work with them is a little bit different. But that's not important for this episode on intuition. But I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some background into what is a child part, what is a protector part. A couple other really common protector parts that it's worth acknowledging for the purposes of this episode are the manager, the one who has to be in control of everything. Yeah, that's a protector part. And if you have that protector part come online, that protector part is also impacting your ability to access your intuition. Okay, so let's talk about some ways that intuition can come in. So we've talked about the clairs, but I want to get even more broad than that. Okay, because even talking about the clairs is a little bit limiting. So there are three basic ways we each access intuition, and you might have all of these, or two of these, or overlapping of some, or only one. So, one way is what we call the structural type of intuition. And if you have ever gotten an intuitive hit from looking at a spreadsheet, a map, a chart, a graph, you would have access from this structural type of intuition. And if you're really good with numbers, but you know you're highly intuitive, this is probably your method. Another form of intuition comes from consciousness reading, where you can actually read and feel the field. You probably enjoy meditation. You probably enjoy breath work and sound healing. And you can see and sense and feel things because of just what's available to you in the field, where you can kind of have this stream of consciousness type of experience with your intuition. And then there's a third way that maybe you can activate your intuition, which is through movement, through the body. And if you have this form of intuition, you might be able to move your body in whole body ways, like walking or dancing, and get intuitive hits. Or you might be able to even just move your fingers, like wiggling your fingers back and forth might actually bring in some intuitive awareness. So I'll be talking more about this as we go on in time, but I just want you to know that there's so many different ways the intuition can come in. We don't want to discount any, and we don't want to ever send the message that the only people are intuitive are the people that are wearing the long flowing skirts dancing around the fire. Are they intuitive? Yeah, of course. But so are a lot of the people who are reading spreadsheets, doing important intuitive work in more structured kinds of fields. So that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to create an offer that could help facilitate you learning about your intuition and also support you in coming to know some of your child parts and protector parts, because it's so important for us to address those. So the big part of what I do is help you to release beliefs and habits and behaviors that are no longer serving you. And the way we do that is through a lot of the things that I offer. So I decided, why would I make you choose between all the different things that I offer, whether it's Reiki or theta healing or somatic coaching or breath work? What I really want to do is just be present in the moment and track your energy to find out what is actually going to help us get to the root, what's going to help us amplify your energy, amplify your intuition to find you so that you can be more of you. And so I created an offer called the Intuitive Way, 6 months to more embodied and confident leadership for ambitious and intuitive women. So, this is a private coaching experience that's designed to help you reclaim your energy, trust your inner knowing, and lead with clarity and sovereignty and soul. So, the intuitive way is, I'm so excited about it because we're going to customize this experience for you. If you are somebody who is working for someone else, we can help activate your intuition so that you can take the right next steps, so that you can see the next steps, so that you can read the energy of the people around you. If you're somebody who owns a business, we can actually help you track the energy of your business, of the people that you're working with, of yourself, of your offers. In fact, I was on a call today with a client, and the client was saying she's an entrepreneur and she used to be in banking, and she has a new group coaching offer that she's offering. And she was telling me that she was able to pull in, I can't remember the number. It was like 75 people into a class that she'd offered, and she was so excited. And 75, by the way, is a big number. Just for context, when you're in the online world and you have 75 people coming to a class, that's a big number. And people were so excited about this class that she offered. And then in her offer that followed that, it was a group coaching container. She's had it live for several weeks and no one was joining the program. And so she asked me if I could track the energy of the program. And so I tracked the energy of the web page and then tracked the energy of the program. And when I tracked the energy of the web page, I realized two things. One is that it wasn't clear to the people who might purchase the program what it was or how long it was. So I could feel their energy of like, I'm not sure what this is. I like her a lot. I don't know what this is. And so then they clicked out. The other thing that I tracked, which was even more important, was I looked at her and I said, hey, you know what I'm really tracking is that you're not sure you want to do this. And she laughed and she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I might be wrong here, but the energy that I'm tracking is you don't actually want to teach this offer. You don't want to teach this group for 12 weeks. And she thought about it for a few minutes and she said, can you ask me some questions? And I said, yes, absolutely. I said, okay, so let's say if this program is 12 weeks, does that feel exciting to you? And she was like, no. And I said, okay, so is it the length of time or the content that you're teaching that doesn't feel exciting? And she realized she loves the content. It was the length of time. So then I asked her some more questions. And I asked her, okay, is it like an 8-week program? Is it a 4-week program? Is it a single night? What is it? And as I asked the questions, her intuition really came online. And before we got off the call, she knew exactly what she wanted to offer, and it made her smile from ear to ear. She felt so much lighter. She felt excited. She felt happy. And you know what was interesting is the energy around the sales page was changing even before she changed any words, simply because her energy changed. And so that's one of the things that I want to teach you to do inside the intuitive way is to track and be more aware of your own energy. Because here's the thing, we're always sending out an energetic signal. And sometimes, oftentimes, we're not aware of what that signal is. And when we can create awareness around what that signal is, we can make sure that the thing we're signaling is aligned so we feel good about it, and then we'll attract people into it. And this will work whether you are applying for a job or offering a group coaching program or you're trying to organize a book club. It literally works with everything. And so I'll give you an example from my own life. In 2021, I was applying for jobs in 2020 and 2021. I was applying for jobs all over the United States and I wasn't getting any hits. I mean, I applied for 100 or more jobs in 2020 and early 2021. So by the time that January 2021 rolled around, I was counting up the number of applications that I had submitted and realized it was 100. And I was like, whoa, okay, that is a lot of applications to not get any hits. And so I thought to myself, okay, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong in the energy here. And I didn't totally know what that was because sometimes it's hard to see your own nose for your face, right? but I knew it had something to do with I had an energy of running away from something. I wanted to leave where I was. I wanted to work for a different company. And instead of being attracted to the next thing, running towards something, there was this leaving energy. So I decided that what I needed to do that probably made the most sense, even though it felt really hard, was I was going to fall in love with my house at the time, my job. I loved my students already. I was going to fall in love with my staff, my administration, the district. I was going to love it no matter what. And so I did. And it was literally a decision that I was going to focus on the things that I loved. And I would come home and I would verbalize how grateful and how much I loved these certain things that had happened, or the people that had come in, or the connection that I felt. And it wasn't very long at all before it was real. I loved it there. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I felt myself falling in love so deeply with my situation, my work, the people that I worked with, the students, my house, my neighbors. I was like deeply in love with all of it. And then within 2 weeks' time, I was a finalist in 5 jobs all across the country. It happened because I was able to shift the energy. And when you can get really clear on, oh, I've got something energetically kinky here, then you can change it, you can adjust it. And sometimes, and again, sometimes you can't see your own nose for your face. With support, with guidance, you can track this energy, and then you're going to learn how to track this energy so you can do it on your own. And that's what the intuitive way is built around. It's this combination of guidance and teaching. And so I'm going to put the link in the show notes for the intuitive way. It's brendawinkle.com/intuitive way. And it's a 6-month container. And I am making this my primary focus right now. So I am accepting several clients, not unlimited clients, because, there's only so many hours in the day, but invitation to go check it out and see if this might be your next step to really activating your intuition. So this is a private coaching experience designed to help you reclaim your energy, deepen your self-trust and intuition, and lead with that soul level clarity. I can't wait. Can't wait to tell you more about it. I have 2 new Intuitive Way clients as of this week, and we're already getting started. And their ahas are inspiring. Let's just put it that way. And that's the thing, right? Sometimes you just make a decision that you're ready for the next new thing, and the transformation begins. It's literally a decision. I just love that. So, one of my decisions lately has been I just want to be really more raw, more authentic, more me. And, to that end, I want to offer something to you, which is this. There's a lot of unrest and uncertainty right now in the United States. And it would be irresponsible of me to tell you to stop watching the news, because I think you need to be informed. In fact, Caroline Myss wrote a book, and as part of that book, she talked about how essential it is for the people who are healers and caretakers and loving hearts to be informed, but to do it in responsible ways that don't tax your nervous system. And so, all that's to say, there are 2 really important things that you can be doing right now. One is find joy every single day. Find something that brings you joy and go do it. It is one of the most important forms of resistance. And the second thing that you can do that is equally important is to be in community as much as possible. If you need a community of women, Your Yes Filled Life will be enrolling new members in July of 2025. And I'll tell you more about that and put the link in the show notes this time, but I'll tell you more about it another time. But this is a beautiful, heart centered community of women who are doing really big things in the world. And keep in mind, big things in the world sometimes mean making sure that your immediate family has the support and the love that they need. And sometimes it means, doing things that are a little bit more outside of your family. But when you do heart centered, heart led things from a place of love and intuition, magic happens. That's, that's where the divine really speaks, is when we do those things with heart centered love and you open yourself to the intuitive nudges from whatever the God of your own understanding is. Thank you so much for listening to Your Yes Filled Life. If you're curious about energy, make sure you go grab that energy audit, brendawinkle.com/audit. And I'd love to tell you more about the intuitive way. If you want to jump on a call with me, you can absolutely do that. Send me a DM on Instagram at Brenda Winkle, or email me, brenda@brendawinkle.com. Or you can just join that container if you want to do that on the page link that I'm sharing. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to give the podcast a rating and review wherever you're listening. It is the most important thing you can do to help the podcast grow. And my mission is to get this into the ears of 100,000 people by 2028. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye for now. Until next time.